Many people ask the question, why doesn't Jesus in the Bible denounce slavery? It's a challenging question, especially with our modern understanding of slavery and justice. Today I want to walk us through how slavery was understood during ancient times and why Jesus' mission centered around transforming hearts rather than overthrowing systems. First and foremost, we need to understand what slavery was like back then. In the ancient world, there was no bankruptcy law. People who faced overwhelming debt would often work off that debt in servitude. And this wasn't a race-based slavery, but rather an economic reality, a form of debt repayment. People entered into it as a way to survive, not because of their race or ethnicity. This was the cultural backdrop in which Jesus was born into. Now, the Bible has some striking commands about slavery that reveal God's heart for justice. In Deuteronomy 15:1-2, God commanded Israel to cancel debts every 7 years. And this practice provided a way for people to escape lifelong servitude. And then we have in the year of Jubilee, every 50 years described in Leviticus 25. In the Jubilee, all slaves were set free, and the land returned to its original owners. This was a radical reset, God's way of preventing generational poverty and restoring economic balance. Jesus didn't denounce slavery outright because his mission was to change hearts. Living under Roman rule, where any dissent could mean death, Jesus knew he couldn't dismantle the system directly without risking his ministry. Instead, he modeled and taught love, mercy, and justice, knowing that changed hearts would eventually lead to changed systems. Jesus said in Matthew 22, "Render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." He navigated a world where open rebellion could cut his ministry short, so he focused on lasting internal transformation. Throughout history, followers of Jesus have taken his teachings to fight for freedom. In the 1800s, British abolitionists like William Wilberforce, motivated by faith, fought to end the slave trade. Across the Atlantic, figures like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Beecher Stowe called Christians to confront the evil of slavery. And even later on, in the 1950s and 1960s, Martin Luther King Jr., a Christian preacher, led the civil rights movement, aiming to transform society from the inside out. So why didn't Jesus denounce slavery directly? He knew real change requires a transformed heart. And just as Paul says in 2 Corinthians, we commend ourselves to everyone's conscience in the sight of God. Real, lasting change comes from within. We carry on Jesus' legacy by seeking to change our hearts and work for justice in our world. May we too follow his call to love and to serve, knowing that true freedom is found in him. Amen.